Alabama, if you listen to their fans, which I don't ever recommend that you do. Don't ever listen to Alabama fans. But if you listen to Alabama fans, the only thing that kept them from continuing their dominance and winning a national title in 2022 were those rapscallions, Pete Golding, the defensive coordinator, and that piece of shit carpetbagger Bill O'Brien, who we shipped off to New England. If Bill O'Brien and Pete Golding weren't in place as coordinators last year, Alabama would have went 19-0 with 19 blowouts and won another national title. That's what you would believe if you listen.
And it wasn't just Bill O'Brien. It was if Travie for the boys was calling plays, they would have, all they had to do was just run a few play action passes.
Yeah.
And they would have won so many games by so many points.
And
every game, like you said.
And to believe that, you have to ignore the fact that Bryce Young won the Heisman a year earlier with Bill O'Brien calling the plays. Will Anderson was a Heisman finalist with Pete Golding calling the plays. But let's indulge Alabama fans and allow them their fantasy that now that they've hired new coordinators, it's right back to reality, which is Alabama being on top of the sport. They go from Bill O'Brien, who's now at New England, and Pete Golding as their coordinators. They've hired in the last week Tommy Rees from Notre Dame and Kevin Steele from the University of Miami. Now, I have two drastically differing opinions on both of these, and I would like Jack, or both of y'all, I'd like to get y'all's opinions. I'll start with Tommy Rees. I don't believe on paper this hire is a knockdown, oh my God, we got the best guy in the world hire. However, Tommy Rees is 30 years old. I think Tommy Rees is a brilliant offensive mind. Tommy Rees also had the limitations of bad personnel offensively and a completely different coaching staff around him at Notre Dame last year. If he had the Sam Hartman type, I think Tommy Rees is a very good offensive coordinator, and I think this is a good hire. He doesn't have the track record of, say, what Garrett Riley put up this year at TCU. He doesn't have that track record, but he didn't have the horses at Notre Dame. He was fighting with bad quarterback play. He was fighting with them starting over at running back, and they were okay. I think this is a young, great coach, and it's a good hire by Alabama. Jack, what do you think about that?
Tom, so anytime you hire an offensive coordinator, I think the biggest thing is how is he going to deal with your quarterback, unless you're like an Army or maybe, So Tommy Rees is walking in, and he's going to either have Ty Simpson or Jalen Milroe be his quarterback, bearing some crazy change we don't see coming. I think Tommy may have been a little bit prepared for that low, in terms of Alabama standards over the past however many years, that's a low bar. And he's kind of prepared for that coming in after last year with Notre Dame, with Buchner and I'm blanking on the other guy's name, but
Drew Pine.
Drew Pine. Now, what's it going to look like? I feel like we're almost going back to an Alabama that we saw with,
Mac Jones?
Not even Mac Jones. I'm saying even further back.
AJ McCarron,
McElroy, McCarron. We're going back there where the quarterback's not going to have to do as much. Now, will that work? I don't know. Maybe.
But here's my problem with that, Jack. The concept is correct. I don't mind what you're saying. Saban hasn't been getting the running backs he used to get. And their receiver, they peaked at receiver in 19 and 20 when they had the most ridiculous foursome they ever had, 4 first-round picks. I mean, that's the peak of college football receiver rooms, okay?
100%.
I know LSU's been close, Ohio State's been close, but that's pretty much the peak. But like Trent Richardson, and you say what he want in the pros, Mark Ingram, Trent Richardson, Derrick Henry, they haven't walked through that door at Alabama in a couple of years. Ever since Najee Harris left after the 20 season, they've just been okay at running back. I believe
we haven't really seen anybody that's even to the standard of Damian Harris, Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
This year we did see Taj Gibson, but
Jahmyr
Gibbs. Sorry, I don't know what happened there, but Jahmyr Gibbs. But Jahmyr Gibbs was great when you threw the ball to him, but he wasn't like a great runner in between.
He was great.
Tackles.
he was great in open space and he was great for highlights. But if it were 3rd and 2 and you had to have the 2 yards, that's not the horse that Alabama is usually riding. So their offensive personnel is a little bit behind where it's been. Now, they recruit a number 1 class every year, so it's never going to be long before they're going to get the right running backs and receivers. I'm not worried about that. But if you're going to go back, even theoretically, to the A.J. McCarron days or to the Greg McElroy days when it was basically, hey, just don't fuck this game up for me. Just go out there, hand the ball off 30 times, and let the best defense in the country win games for you. If you're going to do that, Jack, I don't think you do it with a rehash at defensive coordinator in Kevin Steele. You go from Pete Golding to Kevin Steele. Kevin Steele has been with Saban before, and Kevin Steele has been successful in college football before. However, if you saw Miami's defense last year, which Kevin Steele was in charge of, I'll just say this, just based on the limited resources I have in college football, I don't think people at Miami were very sad to see Kevin Steele leave.
Yeah, no, so to skip ahead a little bit, my question for you and Katie is, so Alabama fans were so happy when Bill O'Brien kind of like, he didn't get fired, but he left to go to New England, kind of upgraded his job. I guess he's so bad at his job, he's failing upwards. Pete Golden, I think maybe Saban was like, hey, you should look for other jobs. But they were so happy. Did they upgrade?
I don't. I think they at best went sideways. I don't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Kevin Steele is he's like the A2 position on a coordinator vending machine. Like if you go to a vending machine and you got 55 cents in your pocket, you put it in. Well, let's see. Oh, there's Kevin Steele. I know I can always depend on that. A2, and then Kevin Steele pops out. Like there's Todd Grantham on A1. There's Kevin Steele. There's all these guys. They're just always around. I'm thinking back. Norm Chow used to be this as an offensive coordinator. Noel Mazzoni used to be this as an offensive coordinator. Bo Pelini was kind of like this. Just guys that Muschamp, who's now been a defensive coordinator for 28 SEC schools somehow. It's just like, okay, we're just rehashing now. If Saban gets back to the old model where he was really in charge of the defense, okay. I just think this defensive coordinator hire is very lackluster, and if you're Alabama and all of a sudden for the first time in 15 years you're actually looking up at somebody, and you're looking up at Georgia, you're looking up at somebody, I don't know that hiring Kevin Steele makes me go, wow, this is what's going to catch them.